Hey guys, and welcome back to the Final Phase podcast. Today we're going to switch it up a little bit. We got a great story from a European currently living and working in Asia, and we'll go over topics like streaming, work, and even sports. For the guys listening on podcasting apps, this is a video episode, so feel free to watch it on YouTube. Let's jump right in. So today we have Sombrero, a very interesting Twitch streamer and also a Razer employee. He works in Razer Singapore. That is really interesting. I don't think I know anyone that works at Razer or any company like that. So we're going to have some cool content coming in today. So tell me about where you're from, Sombrero. You're originally from the UK, right?
Yeah, so born and raised in London, went to boarding school outside of London, but then went back to London to do university, got a degree, and started working as a data analyst in a benchmarking firm just after university. And whilst I was a fresh graduate, I would like attend esports events around the UK, and then eventually go to Europe. And after making some contacts in the esports industry, I started doing some volunteer work, shooting some video here and there, helping out where I could, and then eventually applied for a position to work at Razer in the esports department, and luckily got it.
All right. So how was it to move to Singapore? Like that's a big decision, moving to a completely different
Yeah.
world and like on the opposite side of the globe. How was it for you?
Yeah. So the thing with that as well is because I had just finished university, I didn't have like anything tying me to the UK. I didn't have a long term girlfriend. I wasn't married. I didn't have any kids. I didn't have like a massive mortgage keeping me in the UK. So for me, it was actually quite easy to make the decision because I thought to myself, I love video games. I love competitive video games. I've been involved in one way or another since I was 12 years old at the time. So we're looking 10 years back from now, and then 10 years back from then. So I've been involved, and then to have the opportunity to work in the esports department at one of the biggest esports companies that sponsors loads of teams, travels events, is constantly represented. For me, it was a no-brainer, even though it was like completely different from what I studied at university. I studied computer science, and this was basically marketing. I saw it as a way to get involved in an industry that I had a lot of passion for, and I think that's a theme that a lot of people that get started with esports will say. Ultimately getting involved because of the passion they had for esports. And then, just moving to the other side of the planet. It was actually easier than you'd think because of the fact that in Singapore, the main spoken language is English. All business is conducted in English, and majority of people have some form of grasp on English. All the street signs are in English. It's like Asia for beginners is the way that I describe it. It's very easy to get around. It's super clean, super safe, so there's no worries there. And ultimately, it's actually a great place to live if you need to travel a lot as well, because it's got such a great airport. So if I need to go to the west coast of America for work, I can travel. If I need to go back to Europe, it's very easy to travel. Just the distances are a bit long.
I see. Well, I guess Singapore is one of the easiest countries for you from the UK to move to. Yeah, right. There's not that many that speak English as their first language these days anymore, but Singapore is probably one of the best when it comes to that. Yeah, for sure. So,
Yeah.
What is your current job at Razer?
So currently, I'm a product developer at Razer, and I've been doing that for about 2.5 years. I've been at Razer for much longer than that, though. Like I've been at Razer for like 7.5 years now, and I've done loads of different things. So as I mentioned, I moved over to work in the esports department. Then I worked in retail marketing. I don't know if you've ever seen any photos or videos of like the Razer stores. There's like these big kind of places where they're like locations where people can go to try out products, hang out, play games. It's like free to play. There's no like you can go and play LAN sessions with your friends and stuff. So I was involved in that for a couple of years. And then I worked a bit in product marketing, and then ultimately moved over to the product development department a couple of years ago now.
All right. So, how does your how does your typical workday look like at the product development department?
Yeah, so for me, a typical day, the office is like 9 o'clock. 9 till 6 is the hours over in Singapore. But typical day you could start with a phone call at 8 a.m. my time to communicate with people on the West Coast because it's not just people that it's not just people that are working in Razer that you have to chat to, but when you're based in Singapore and you are a multinational company, there's times where you have to take calls at opportunities where it syncs up for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll probably have a call with a partner or maybe a colleague in the morning, come into the office 9:30 ish, check emails, that kind of stuff. Normally, mornings are kind of like jam packed with meetings, depending on what we're working on. Um, then afternoon, it's kind of like I wouldn't say busy work, but like just getting stuff done. Like normally, it's like you'd have a meeting and or you have something that you need to get done, and then you realize that hang on, I've got a jam packed morning full of meetings. So then afternoon time is normally where I just hammer that out, get it done, and then typically around 4 o'clock ish, 5 o'clock ish, it's normally like kind of ad hoc meetings that come up about things that happen during the day. And then around 5:30 ish, I'll hop on some games. And the thing is, you think it's quite funny, right? To say like, okay, you're going to play games at work, but as a product developer as well, it's very important to test products out in like the actual scenario that they're going to be used in. It's all well and good, like you get given, say for example, you get given a prototype from the engineering team, and it's to spec, and it's been designed exactly as it's been specced out. You then need to test it in real world scenarios on multiple different surfaces in different conditions, and just put it through your own testing as well as the testing that gets done by the relevant testing departments in any company. I think like for me as well, especially keeping really active in games is super important so that when it comes to designing a product or working with the engineering team to design a product, that it stays on point and really relevant to people that are playing games and using it for gaming.
Yeah, you need to know the community and what they would like to see, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's very important.
yeah. So we're not going to talk about the products that you're developing right now for obvious reasons, but could you give us an example of what you were working on in the past and how that panned out?
Yeah, yeah, sure. So one of the products that I'm quite proud of are the broadcasting products that have come out for Razer, the Razer Siren X and the Razer Keo. So those products were basically designed with like brand new streamers in mind,
Mm-hmm.
and I took my own experience from trying to stream and the difficulties that I faced when it came to streaming, and tried to put them into products that were both affordable for new streamers and resolved as many issues as possible. So
Mm-hmm.
for example, one of the issues that I faced as a new streamer was like getting lighting right,
Yeah.
learning about lighting, learning about white balance, learning about conditions that impact the way a camera looks in OBS. So that's why I work with the engineers to like design a concept that had a ring light in it because it's much easier if the light is directly on the camera to use it. There's no way you can use the light incorrectly if it's connected to the camera. You can't like put it in a weird position to give you bad shadows because it's directly in front of you. So
Yeah.
that's one of the examples. And then another example would be the Siren X that we built. I always struggled with like hearing microphones having like taps when you tap your keys, but not
Yeah.
hearing the keys themselves, but hearing the vibrations because of the shocks,
Right.
right?
Right. Right. Right.
And in the past you'd use like a really big a shock mount, and it would get in the way, and if you're gaming as well and you've got to put your hands in front of you, having a big shock mount can actually be distracting. So we work with engineers to put a shock mount inside the microphone, so instead of suspending the entire microphone, just the diaphragm is suspended and it has the
I
kind of
see.
anti-shock properties. So that's some of the cool stuff that we worked on that was directly related to my experiences as like a brand new streamer trying to figure it out, and helped build a better product, I think.
Yeah, that's great. That's very interesting. Little details, I guess, that set apart certain products.
Hmm.
Talking about success, I think that Razer was probably the most successful peripherals company back in the day, especially in, I don't know, early 2000s when they started out. And I don't know when Razer started selling the mice and keyboards, maybe like 2005 or something, or maybe a bit later. But from what I remember, it was the only gaming related gear that you could get at one point. Do you think that that contributed to the massive growth, being like one of the first to do the lighting stuff and all of that and mice? How important
Yeah.
is the looks?
I think two points to that question. I think in any industry, if you're first to market, you have an advantage.
Yeah,
Um, so I think being first to market has a big impact for any company, not
for
just
sure.
Razer in this scenario.
Yeah.
And then the whole lighting scenario in terms of adding chroma to stuff to products. I think it's a whole portfolio thing. So instead of when you look at Razer products that have chroma in them, it's not just like one mouse, one keyboard. It's an entire ecosystem. So it's
Yeah.
like if you have a mouse and a keyboard from Razer, and then you get yourself some Philips Hue lights, they all work together. And there's so many integrations that like by being first into the market and then pushing very heavily to innovate in it rather than it just being a mouse or a keyboard with flashing lights. It's also got game integrations and unique features that go beyond just having aesthetics. Um, I think it was like a big snowball effect that all linked together and created this awesome ecosystem where all the products they live together and perform well.
So, would you agree that Razer nowadays is more focused on just features and just in general casual gaming stuff than esports?
I think that's actually not so true because I mean, if you look at the most recent mouse that was launched, the Razer Viper, it's like it screams enthusiast. Like
Mm-hmm.
so I don't actually handle the design for the mice, but like had big input on it and like gave feedback. And if you look at it, it's a super lightweight mouse. It's ergonomic. It's got like the SpeedFlex cable, which is very enthusiast esque. It's got the optical switches, and it doesn't have like the full chroma ecosystem in it. It is chroma enabled. It does have like a kind of LED logo, but it's more focused on the hardcore individual because that's what enthusiasts are doing. So I think it's not a case of just doing one or the other. You can have like different parts of the product of a product portfolio that speak to different people. Like the same way that, for example, Mercedes, they have the A class car that is for like people that want to drive around town, but they also have the AMG Beasts that are like for racing. It's one company can do multiple things. It's
Exactly.
more about how you design the product and who you aim it at. So yeah, I think it's not fair to say that Razer only focuses on the casual, especially then there's products like the Razer Viper coming out that kind of scream in the enthusiast name. And one of the cool things that I like about it as well is the fact that like the by default, if you plug it in, the default DPI is 800, which is
Mm-hmm.
like a small detail. You wouldn't think about that, right? But like a lower DPI is what enthusiasts use, right? They use
Yeah.
4 to 800. And typically, most gaming mice, when you get them, they come with like default DPI of 1600. And it's only a setting that gets changed, right, in whatever software you're using. But just by having that be a default setting is a small little nod to the enthusiasts and say like, okay, we know what you guys use, we know what you guys want, we know what settings you guys use. It's out of the box, ready to go, kind of thing.
That's great. That's great. But talking about DPI, that was always a very interesting thing, marketing thing that almost every gaming peripheral company used. Why did everyone promote like 10,000 DPI mice as like that characteristic as the main characteristic of the Why do you think that went through and everyone was using it?
I think like if you look at the gaming industry as a whole as well, I see like a lot of similarities to other marketing trends in other products as well. And it's like if you look at like body deodorant, right? Like you go for the spray on deodorant and whatnot. You have a few years ago it was like 12-hour deodorant protection. Then
Yeah.
it was like 18-hour, 24-hour. 36, who's not showering for 36 hours? Who's not showering for 40 hours? It's like an arms race where it gets to the point where it's 20,000 DPI now is what you're getting in sensors, and there's no more benefit above that. But what happens is when you get sensors that have that much DPI, they normally have higher resolution accuracy. So it's also about what is the accuracy that they're tracking at. How many IPs can they handle? Like how fast, especially with games getting faster and faster. Like if you talk about FPS games in the past, there was a period of time where there was like FPS games were very fast. You had games like Quake, Unreal Tournament, in terms of being in the higher end of esports, right? Then CS:GO came out, or CS came out, right? And the aiming style of CS is a little bit slower. It's a bit more methodical.
Yeah.
It's more about crosshair placement, right? So high DPI doesn't really impact that, or high IP, should I say, doesn't impact that because you're not flicking as much as you would. Then you look at games like Fortnite, and I don't know if you've ever seen a Fortnite player. I'm not even going to get into the topic of Fortnite as an esport or whatnot. But
Yeah.
if you've seen those top guys that play, the speed at which they move, you need to have
Yeah, you need to have.
sensors that are capable of tracking at high, IPS is it inches per second or inches? I don't remember the exact acronym, but it's basically the speed at which it can track. So it's very important that sensor technology still gets pushed. It's just that as they push sensor technology, the DPI also goes up. So yeah, I think the fact that sensors can go that high, especially when we're talking about individuals that play at 1080p or 1440p, you don't really need it. But maybe in the future, when 4K or 8K becomes more played as a resolution, you might need more DPI.
Yeah, that's probably the main thing. But when it comes to DPI, I think most people don't even understand what DPI is, and that's what kind of made it so successful, because it has high DPI, let's buy it. But then you realize that you play on 800 and your mouse can go to like 1500, but or 15,000 or whatever. So yeah, but at the end of the day, it's about what people want. If someone is enthusiastic about high DPI, well, so be it, right?
Yeah, I think it's also, you've got to take into consideration there's a lot of people that play games that are not FPS games. So like, for example, someone that plays League of Legends or Dota, right? Or StarCraft specifically as well, they will actually play with quite a high DPI. I'm not saying 15,000, but they will play 3200. They will play 1800. I think Faker uses default DPI, which is 1800 DPI.
I mean, I use 1600 myself for the longest time, but 1600 is still much lower than, who knows
16,000.
how much.
Yeah. For sure. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of things as well when it comes to DPI in mice in general. That there's a lot of difference between like true DPI and then like interpolated DPI, and that's where it gets murky. Where you have companies like saying, oh yeah, it's a 16,000 DPI capable mouse, but in reality, you look at the sensor and the specs, you see like, oh, hang on, it's only 12,000, and then to get to 16,000, it's interpolated. So
yeah, they just wanted to sell something in as few words as possible. DPI describes how good the mouse is, and it probably is if it's true. So I guess that was the main point. All right.
For sure.
Let's talk about the future of Razer in general. Razer's doing all kinds of stuff. Like, what are some interesting projects that Razer is doing these days? For example, cloud gaming. I saw that it's involved in cloud gaming. Can you give me some other examples, maybe?
Yeah, for sure. Like, so the thing is, like, for me, in my little world, in my day-to-day job, I don't get exposed to some of this stuff. So like, I hear about it when the public hears about it, because it's such a big company, right? Like, you're like, oh wow, we're doing stuff with Tencent cloud gaming now. So I mean, I can't really comment on that kind of stuff, but it's pretty insane to work in the Singapore office, and you see people coming in, and there's like, they're doing stuff regarding fintech, and like, I know nothing about fintech, but like, seeing all the stuff that the company's doing over Razer Gold and whatnot, it's really encouraging to see Razer do loads of awesome new stuff. Imagine if Razer just stuck to this making mice and keyboards, it wouldn't be as big as it is today. So it's awesome. It's awesome seeing all the really cool new areas in which the company tries stuff out and looks to grow into.
Yeah, for sure. Gaming in Singapore. Have you gone to any events in Singapore when it comes to gaming? How big is it in Singapore?
I would say so. Singapore as a whole is a very small place. The internet here is absolutely fantastic. I love it here. But the thing that I've realized as well, especially when I came here and I first got to Singapore, there is a very tight knit gaming community, but it's very localized. So it's like, for example, me as like a white dude, I kind of stick out like a sore thumb. And when I first came to Singapore, there weren't really any kind of FPS games that were being played. When I came 7 years ago, everyone's playing Dota. They're playing a bit of League of Legends. Maybe some Hon was still about back in the day on Garena. It was really like a ARTS MOBA focused players, and I kind of like stuck out. I don't feel like I really fit in when it came to being ingrained in the gaming community here. Everyone was super welcoming, but it's like they have their own style of speaking. They have their own colloquialisms. It's kind of difficult to get involved when you don't speak not the same language, but you don't have the same gaming lingo. I came from Europe. We had our own method of speaking, so it was a bit difficult for me to kind of get stuck in. But I've been to a few events here, ESL did a couple of events here back in the day. I don't think they've come back recently. Then League of Legends did a stop of their world tour. I think a few years back. That was pretty cool. But the one issue that I've realized with Singapore is it's super expensive to do anything in terms of events here.
Oh
Like you
yeah.
see all these companies that come and do stuff. They want to do like a tournament. They want to do an exhibition and whatnot. And just the cost of setting an event up here, doing an event, and then also the cost of individuals from around the region coming here is super expensive. Like hotels and travel in Singapore is quite expensive. Is quite expensive if you're someone that lives in Thailand or Vietnam and you're paid Thailand or Vietnamese currency and you're earning wages over there. It's very expensive for people target demographic to come here to Singapore. And then when you look at Singapore as a whole, it's quite a small place. I think the
Yeah.
most recent population was like 5 million people, if
And it's
that.
all one small
So
island. Yeah.
it's one small city island. So it's got great infrastructure, it's got great internet, great connections in terms of people getting here, but it's quite expensive to run, big esports tournaments here.
Yeah, I can definitely see why. What are the things that you like the most about Singapore? And don't tell me internet. We know it's internet, but other than internet.
um, the main thing I like about Singapore is you don't have to worry about anything, nothing. Like you don't have to worry about being safe. You don't have to I'll leave for a bike ride at 4 a.m. All right, to go meet up with my friends. I don't have to worry about there being people on the streets that might want to rob me out late at night or trouble. I don't have to worry about is my train going to run on time? Am I going to be able to get to where I need to go on time? Because it's super clean and efficient and it works really well. Um, yeah, so there are a few things that I really enjoy about Singapore. But just how easy it is to live here is the main thing. It's like there's nothing to worry about here.
I see. What about the food?
Oh, dude, the food here is amazing. I love the food here. The thing in Singapore is you can eat whatever you want and pay whatever you want for it. So there's obviously a lot of Asian dishes, but because it's a very big expat place where big companies send their expats to work in the head offices here or whatever, you can get really good Western food for cheap as well. You can get really good Western food for like expensive as well. So depending on what you want to eat, you can pay whatever price you want for it. If you want to eat like street food equivalent, you can go and pay a couple of bucks and get a full meal. If you want to eat the same street food but really fancy, you can go to like the Four Seasons or the Hilton and like get the same thing but like really fancy. So it's awesome. It's the food's amazing. I love it over here.
Yeah. Is there something that you don't like about Singapore?
So anything that I don't like about Singapore, traffic can get quite bad if you're trying to get somewhere. Like I don't drive, but like say for example, I'm trying to go into town, because it's such a small place. There's only so much space on the roads, and
Hmm.
accidents happen and whatnot. So that's a little bit frustrating in terms of the in terms of traffic. But I think what I miss the most actually is seasons. I wouldn't have thought that I would say that coming from the UK and the weather there, but it's the weather is always 34 degrees and like 90% humidity, which is great because I can always be outside. But like I miss like wearing a jacket every now and again, or like going out and not sweating.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do miss seasons.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty tropical there, isn't it? So I
Yeah,
mean, kind
Raj
of.
Koya.
Yeah. So yeah, I've never been to a place like that, so I wouldn't know. But I guess it can get quite dull at some point, like you said. The humidity is probably the biggest issue, right? It's not the
Yeah,
temperature
it's
itself.
like exactly because like it's 34 degrees and 9% humidity, so it feels like 38, 39.
Yeah.
It's very sticky.
All right. So tell me about your stream. You've been streaming on Twitch for how long now?
Oh gosh, all right. So I've had a Twitch account now for I don't know 8 9 years, like a very long
Eight,
time,
9 years?
I was like I've had so my account's been around since Justin TV days, but
Yeah.
I didn't stream on it. I
Yeah.
streamed
Yeah.
a little bit back in like 2013 when the original Titanfall came out. Because it was so Titanfall it launched in like time zones, and because I
Hmm.
was in Singapore at the time, I was like one of the first people to get access to it.
I see.
So we got access. I got access to Titanfall, and I was streaming it, and like I had like 1,000 people watching me. Um, so it was insane. I like stayed up all night, streamed Titanfall the first time. I gained like 2,000 followers, and then like never streamed again for like 5 years. Like I just never. I didn't feel the desire to stream.
Wow.
Um, and then so I got introduced to Cyanide from ZF Clan by a friend
Hmm.
of mine, Amrul Yuki. Me and Amrul Yuki have been friends for like 15 years. We go back from when I was back in the UK. We used to go to the same like LAN cafe. Um, I got introduced to him. We got chatting. He was in Singapore. I was in Singapore. We started playing some games together. Started playing Battlefield, and I was like, maybe I'd turn my stream on again. So we played a bit of Battlefield 1, I think it was back then. And we were playing a few games, chilling, having some fun. And then in like March 2017, PUBG, the closed alpha, the closed beta came about, and I was like, this game looks amazing in terms of like what I'd never played a battle royale before, or apart from Daisy mod a little bit, but nothing crazy. And I kind of reached out to them and said, hey, can I get like 5 to 10 keys that I can give to me and my streamer friends so we can play it? And I got the keys, gave one to Sai, Ed, Amruyuki, all the guys. We started playing it, and we just started like having so much fun with it. I was like, okay, like this is a game that like I can be actually pretty decent at because I have all my experience with FPS games. I'm enjoying streaming. I've got such good internet here in Singapore. I might as well. And then I started taking my stream a little bit more seriously. I kind of put together a little schedule. Started streaming more consistently after work, and just focused on having as creating as much content as I could around PUBG, and like creating a community around the channel as a whole.
Yeah, so well, you have a full-time job, so finding enough time to stream must be pretty difficult, especially since you work till like 6 p.m. How does it work for you? When do
Yeah,
you stream your time typically?
gotcha. All right, so this is the weird thing. So I stream normally Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday from like 7 p.m. to like 10 p.m. 10:30, right?
Hmm.
Because I have to be in bed by 10:30 or 11 o'clock because I get up at like 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m. for my cycle training because I do amateur racing here in Singapore,
I
and we
see.
have to do our training in the morning to avoid traffic and whatnot.
Oh.
And then on Saturday I have the day off, and then Sunday I normally do like an afternoon stream. But
Hmm.
the thing is, because it's not my full time job, I'm not when I had PUBG to play and PUBG was a new game, I was like religiously locked into that schedule. I
Hmm.
would go home, stream, go home, eat, stream, go home, eat, stream, and spend time with my girlfriend on Wednesdays, Saturdays, in between and whatnot. But now that there's not like any game that I can like sink hours into that I'm like engrossed to play, I'm giving myself a Tuesday off here and there so I can spend some more time with Steph. I might miss a Friday so that I can get more sleep so that I can be a bit better on the bike on Saturday, so to speak. So that's the beauty of it being a part-time job. Like I don't have to. I'm not beholden to being online at a certain time because I know that if I miss this schedule, I might lose out on some subs because it's not a full-time job for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, what I think a lot of people would like to hear, and a lot of people are wondering about, is what would be the number of subs or viewers or whatever other metric? What would be the number that will make you quit your full-time job? Do you have something in mind, like somewhere, some estimate?
So to put this in perspective, right? In December 2017, when like PUBG was at its peak,
Yeah.
right? I took a month off work.
Mm-hmm.
So I had my 2 weeks annual leave, and I had my 2 weeks sabbatical because I'd been at the company for 5 years.
I
So
see.
I combined them together, and I had the whole of December off. And like in that month, sub gifting wasn't a thing, by the
Yeah.
way. And I
Yeah.
hit like 1,250 subs. So it was just consistent, 12 hours a day. There was a few people giving individual gifts. There
Yeah.
was like a guy on the channel, Dr. Alfred. He was like a big supporter of the channel back then. But because I was streaming consistently, I got quite a large number of subscribers that month. And I looked at it and I was like, this is pretty crazy. But then I realized like that comes in ebbs and flows, and
Exactly. Yeah.
it's not fully consistent. I don't know what the next trend is going to be. I love the work I do at Razer. I just started getting involved in like product development, and I was like really enjoying changing the way products were being developed at Razer, and
Yeah.
the target audience, demographic, and whatnot. So that was really fun. So in my mind, I don't see them as being two mutually exclusive things that are like competing against each other. Like I don't think that because I'm streaming part time and I've got this studio that's like $30,000 of equipment that I should become a full time streamer. I treat it like a hobby. Um, and anything that comes to the stream in terms of like donations or subs or whatever just goes back into increasing the quality of the stream. So like the camera is a pretty ridiculous setup, the audio setup is pretty crazy, and that's all been paid for by the stream.
Yeah.
So I do my day job, and I come home and I play games, and I just so happen to turn on the stream and have a ridiculous setup and graphics and overlays and everything made by like for example, the guy that Captain Twaz, the guy that did my overlay and whatnot, he does like Dr. Lupo's stuff. So I'm taking it seriously in the sense that I'm investing it from a hardware and software and kind of branding perspective. But I don't think it's like I don't think I'm going into it with the goal that it will take over my day job when I quit my day job.
So you don't even pretty much want to take that path, even if you could, or you're just.
Nah, I mean, I dabbled with the idea. I thought about it, and I just realized that like I really do love my day job. Like when you wake up in the morning and you don't think like, oh shit, I forgot to work today.
Yeah.
Like that's how I feel when I go to work, because it's like I mean, sorry, it's not how I feel. That's the exact opposite. That's how I don't feel when I go to work. I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh, sick, this is awesome. We're gonna solve this problem today. We're gonna work out this. We're gonna like make sure this product does X, Y, and Z. We're gonna make sure that it's awesome for gamers, so that when they get home and they're playing their games, it doesn't do this or it does do this kind of thing. So it's a nice kind of it's a nice feeling going into work like that.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people in the world share that feeling.
Yeah, like, if I was still a data analyst at a benchmarking firm, commuting 45 minutes or to an hour each way each day, I would not feel the same. But I live really close to the office. I get to enjoy my time in the morning with my dog and my girlfriend. I get to ride my bike. I get to feel healthy. I get to work, enjoy my work, and I get to go home and play games. It's like it's a good life.
Yeah, I guess that sounds really nice. Yeah, you're kind of right. But let's say you get, I don't know.
Hypothetically.
Yeah, hypothetically, you get like 3K viewers and 3K subs for a month. And on your month off, let's say you took a month off and you got that. What would you do next month?
I think from my experience of taking that 1 month off, you'd have to hit the ground running and you'd have to be just super consistent. So say, for example, it was like, 3K viewers, 3K subs, right? I think the end goal for most streamers is to be able to do variety, right? Like play anything you want and have anyone turn up. But I can imagine it's the same for you as well. Like you get your most viewers watching PUBG, right?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I was doing that, I'm still a small streamer. I've only got like 29,000 followers. If that happened, whatever game I was playing or whatever I was doing, I would ride the wave for as long as possible until I started to not see growth. Then I'd try and change it up, because I think with Twitch, in my experience as well, it's a big snowball. If you are consistent, and you ride the meta, ride the wave, you can grow. Like the biggest mistake I ever did, right, was I got access to the Fortnite closed beta, right, when it was still behind early access for the battle royale. I played in like the first day it was available, September 27th, 2018, I think 2017, I think it was, right? And I played it and I never played it again. But it was like, I look back now on my YouTube channel and like that video is like one of the most viewed videos on my channel, because it's like one of the earliest battle royale clips of.
It's all about the hype. It's all about the news, exclusive footage and all of that. That's true. That's what a lot of people ride on. So.
Yeah, if that was the scenario, I would see whatever I was doing in that 1 month that allowed me to explode like that. I'd keep working hard at it, and I feel like a lot of people get in scenarios where like the opportunity. I think I'm not saying that getting big on Twitch is lucky, but if you have an opportunity that falls in your lap like that, like I think the perfect example is someone like Dizzy, right, with Apex Legends. Yeah. He had been streaming for a very long time with CS:GO and whatnot, but he hadn't seen the kind of explosive success that he did with Apex Legends, because when Apex Legends came out, he went all in. He was grinding hours, insane shots. He was obviously also better than anyone else playing the game at the time because of his FPS background. And he absolutely exploded. If you look at his Social Blade graph, it's like skyrocketed in March this year.
Yeah,
March or February.
Then again, Apex kind of dwindling
Diet.
down, and
Yeah.
now he's not in trouble. He still has thousands of viewers. It's just that he has to think of an exit strategy from Apex, and it's always the struggles of the big streamers. I mean, big streamers, whatever size streamers in their first game, transitioning to the second game. You have been streaming all kinds of stuff lately, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been doing like loads of stuff, experimenting with. I think it's the great thing about my scenario is because it's not a full time position. I can do whatever I want. Like
Exactly. Yeah.
I streamed myself painting Warhammer figurines, right? I streamed myself on the bike. I mean, you can't see it in the shot here, but I've got like a bike setup where I do like online bicycle games where I'm racing other people. Like we're actually doing like road races. We streamed a bit of Dota at the end of TI, and it's fun to see what resonates with my audience. My skill set comes from an FPS background as well, but I feel like you have to start exposing yourself to your audience and showing more of your personality, being a little bit witty, being a bit entertaining, so that when the time comes when you need to transition, they're not only watching you because of your ability in a certain game. I think the perfect example of this, as a kind of just like a side point, is all those individuals that played StarCraft 2 at the highest level and streamed it on Twitch. Who is now the largest individual from that group of people? It's Destiny.
Destiny.
And
Yeah.
that's because he branched out to other games, showed more of his personality, wasn't so focused on just being this like StarCraft robot, and now he's got an established channel that can hop between League of Legends. You go to the Apex Legends directory, and he's like normally one of the biggest streamers streaming it, and he's like bronze or gold or whatever rank. It's not
Yep.
because he's good at the game, but it's because he's got the personality and that entertainment factor.
He doesn't even game anymore that much. I think he's more
Yeah, he's
into debates and politics, and I don't know what. Yeah.
And he's found his niche there as well. That's a great thing.
He's really good at talking really fast and a lot of different topics, and is like knowledgeable and all. But yeah,
Exactly.
sure, for sure. Forsen, he also used to stream StarCraft. He started as a StarCraft pro gamer, ended up as a stream
Meme
sniper
lord.
magnet in
Yeah,
PUBG.
exactly.
That is his like peak of his career, I guess.
I think it's awesome that like these streamers, like they just need to turn on their stream now, and they have stream savers, or they have people that create the content for them.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's the dream goal, where like your community is so large that you just attract funny individuals. I still think that there's no single Twitch streamer that is as funny or entertaining as Twitch chat as a whole. If you think about like all the
that's very
people,
true.
all the memers together, there's 10,000 people watching you. 5 of them are going to come up with a funny idea or a funny meme or a funny piece of content.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the synergy of Twitch chat as a whole cannot be competed against when it comes to like being funny when you're talking about individual streamers.
Exactly, and especially like I don't know, Doctor Disrespect's donations, for example. They're always so funny. Asmongold's chat, him interacting with his chat, like all of that kind of stuff. It's just content being created by content. It's an endless loop of just new content coming out of just nothing, let's say. And yeah, that is the dream. But not everyone can achieve it. Not everyone is entertaining that way. And of course, you have people that just focus on gameplay, focus on tutorials, focus on whatever they want. And some more successful, some less. But yeah, you doing it as a hobby it has its advantages for sure, because like you say, you can do whatever you want, and maybe someday you hit something that just interests a lot of people and it blows up, and maybe you consider leaving your job at some point.
Maybe. Yeah, we'll see.
So tell me about your streaming setup. You have a pretty sweet streaming setup, and I always like look into the new stuff that you get and just follow what you're doing. And what are some interesting pieces of equipment that you got?
So as I briefly mentioned, everything in the stream or anything on the stream has all been paid for by the stream, and that was the notion that I put forward with when it came to streaming, in the sense that anytime anyone ever supported the stream, it would go back into the stream to make viewing the stream a better experience. It's now got to the point where we have full analog audio for microphone. We have a DSLR camera into a dedicated capture card for the camera that you see, with like interchangeable lenses. So the quality is really high. I I've got a dedicated streaming PC, which is like pretty common for most like bigger streamers. But instead of streaming at like 900p or 720p, for example, we've got like a Threadripper PC, which is a huge. It has like a very big CPU in it that can do encoding down to a very high compression rate, so I can stream in 1080p 60 FPS. Um, I've got like one of the best gaming PCs that's got like a 2080 Ti and an i9 9700K, so that when I'm playing at the best that I can play, so that the content is of the gameplay is of a higher standard as well. So
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy. As I mentioned, I've got like a 40. This is the latest addition to the stream. Actually, I'll describe it to you quickly.
Hmm.
But I've got a 43-inch TV in front of the bike setup, so that I can play World of Warcraft Classic when it comes out tomorrow, or whenever this podcast releases. Whilst looking at World of Warcraft, playing on a wireless keyboard, mechanical keyboard and mouse, right?
I want to see that in action, man. I really want to see
It's
it.
going to be great. We're going to do some fun things where it's like, if you subscribe, I'd cycle 2 kilometers, and we're going to see how far chat can make me subscribe based on them. How far chat can make me cycle based on them subscribing and gifting subs, and it's all funny things. And like, for example, all the lights you see behind me, they can be controlled by Twitch chat. So like when they subscribe, the lights flash colors and whatnot, and that's something that's all powered by Razer. So it kind of comes full circle where like the lights being controlled by Twitch chat and them subscribing and donating and whatnot, that all came about from me looking for new ways for audience members to interact and get extra value for subscribing and supporting a channel.
Yeah, that is insane. The most well-equipped Twitch streamer, right?
The thing is, right, this is the funny thing. This is the funny thing, right? Like, look at some of the absolute biggest Twitch streamers, like XQC, right? He's got one computer, he's got one microphone, he's got like a shitty webcam, and he's way bigger than I am because of the fact that he has something that I don't have, which is the entertainment factor. He has the ability to, say things that I, as an employee of an established company, cannot say, because I enjoy my day job.
Yeah.
He can do things and be seen to do things that resonate very well with the Twitch audience. I always think to myself, what if you weren't a Twitch streamer, how different would your channel be? And I feel like it wouldn't be that much more different, but I would definitely like to be a bit memey, say a few things that are a bit risque, obviously not TOS, but like, having all this equipment doesn't make you a good streamer.
Yeah.
It just improves the quality of your broadcast.
Exactly. I think a lot of people get it wrong. They want to start streaming and they come in and they buy like $10K worth of equipment, and then they play in front of one viewer because they didn't devise a plan of other than, let me just get a streaming PC and all the equipment that I need. So there's a lot more to it. I mean, I think when we all started with just garbage equipment, it didn't matter. It didn't matter to us, but slowly you improve. Let's get a studio mic. This headset is just it's not good. You hear me breathing. You can the sound is like super high. It's not good. So slowly you get into the place where you're at, but people need to realize that it's content first and everything else is later, like second and third and whatever. So yeah, you got to focus on that. All right. So tell me about the ZF clan or ZF clan. How did you guys meet at the start, and how did it go?
Yeah, so like just to kind of like officially say, I'm not actually part of the ZF clan.
All right.
I play with those guys a lot.
All right.
So this is the thing. So I mentioned earlier on that I was friends with a ZF clan member, Anwar Yuki, and he introduced me to Cyanide, who then introduced me to Edberg. And we just started playing games together. And when you're just playing games with people and there's like a click in terms of chemistry, in terms of both gameplay, in terms of the banter that you have with each other, take give and take jokes and whatnot. So it was just really nice to play with them. And I mean, I can't say I'm like friends with everyone from the ZF clan, but I think friendly with them. If I'm on Discord and or TeamSpeak and we're chatting and someone else pops in, it doesn't feel awkward that another member of that ZF clan's come in.
Yeah.
But everyone's they're just a bunch of guys and girls that play games. One of them, it happens to be like a massive YouTuber that makes really funny content that people love.
We're talking about SovietWomble, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, SovietWomble. Yeah, he's insane in terms of the content he produces. I think he's the perfect example of someone that's like, he's terrible at video games, but he's like really funny, very entertaining, and has great comedic timing, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, those guys, they're great bunch of people. And there's never a dull moment when playing games with those guys. My favorite memory is actually playing golf with friends with them when I got really try hard and like I'm really bad at golf with friends, and they were just taking the piss out of me about being how bad I was at golf with friends, even though I'm like a super try hard FPS gamer. So yeah, they'll put you in your place and make you laugh at yourself very quickly when playing with them.
Yeah. But a lot of the ZF members these days are really successful streamers. Like it's very interesting to see how someone's passion in games and just good friendship and good laughs made people's career, right? Just from
Yeah, for
started from
sure.
making videos.
Yeah. I think if you look back at the whole kind of, I look at it from the outside in, and I see that Soviet like launched a lot of those guys' careers basically
Yeah,
being their kind of like marketing, like marketing their channels. Cyanide, Ed, all the other guys, they all featured in those videos in one way or another in funny moments, and those videos get seen by millions of people. And then also because they're a very tight knit community, they will host each other as well on Twitch. So if you're someone that watches a bullshittery video and you want to go and see if any of them are online in terms of being live on Twitch, you go to one of their channels, they'll be hosting someone else. So there's kind of like
exactly.
a
Yeah.
community that helps each other grow as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like one thing as well is they all benefit from each other in some way or one way or another. Where it's like you have Soviet has all the amazing editing and content and whatnot, but he needs the actors in that content as well. I'm not saying that those guys are paid actors or anything, but like that chemistry that they have and those funny moments are all integral to the content as well. Otherwise,
Exactly.
it's
It's a
Soviet playing
mutual,
single player
yeah.
games.
It's a mutual thing, especially I don't know. Cyanide is one of the stars, let's say, and he's like the funniest guy out there, and it's just it all makes sense, and it all feels natural, and it really makes a lot of sense that they all got successful from just starting from the videos onwards. So yeah.
For sure. For sure.
All right, let's talk about something non-gaming as the last topic. Tell me about your cycling career.
Yeah, my career. I started like road cycling 7 years ago when I came to Singapore. When I first came to Singapore, I was 120 kilos in terms of my weight. I'm like 78 to 80 kilos now. And one of the main reasons that I lost a lot of weight is when I came to Singapore, I was like, it's way too hot to be this fat in Singapore, like living here. It's like
Uh,
wearing like 15 jackets, being
uh,
120 kilos and being 5'8". So I was like, let me try and lose a little bit of weight, get a bit healthier. And I got myself a little mountain bike just to cycle to the office and back. Then one weekend I went to some mountain bike trails. Hated doing the off-roading stuff, but loved cycling on the roads to go to the mountain bike trails. So I got myself a road bike, started doing some longer distance stuff, and kind of fell in love with road cycling. And got involved in the road cycling community over here in Singapore.
yeah, that's really cool. What are your achievements? I saw that you've been in some tournaments lately.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny they call them tournaments, but yeah, no, some races for
Yeah.
sure. The thing is, like, I am someone that is, I'm not delusional. There are individuals that are very much, they're way fitter than I am.
Hmm.
They're way better cyclists. But I love trying to push myself and trying to compete. This year, I came ninth overall in the individual time trial in Singapore in the elite category because I'm under 35, which means that I have to compete against people that are like professional cyclists, which sucks. But ninth overall, I was very happy with.
That's pretty impressive.
Out of I think it was like a field of 45 people, so I'll take that. And then I came third in the elite duos time trial. So I'm like a time trialist, which is a certain type of cycling.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Um, um, so yeah, and my biggest achievement, like individually, was this thing called Paris Brest Paris, which is a long distance event. It's not officially a race, but people do race it, and it's 1,200 kilometers long, and you have 90 hours to complete it. And I actually completed that 5 years ago.
Wow.
So I'd only been cycling for a couple of years. Um, and it's a super long distance, grueling event where you have to manage your own sleep. You sleep for like 3 to 4 hours a night. You cycle 20 hours a day, kind of thing.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, that was my biggest achievement, I would say.
Wow, that's really impressive. And last but not least, tell us about your You were talking about health and staying healthy. How does cycling contribute, and what do you do every day to stay healthy when it comes to cycling, at least?
Um, so for me, I mean, I'm doing between 8 to 15 hours of cycling a week.
Mhm.
That's mixed in during the week before work, a long ride on the weekend, that kind of thing. And for me, before I came to Singapore, being as heavy as I was, I had so many health issues. I had knee issues, I had back issues, I constantly had stomach issues. And just by coming to Singapore, changing my diet a little bit, I mean, I did the maths right, and I was eating like 4.5 to 5,000 calories a day at my heaviest. And now on a typical day, I'll eat 2,500 and sometimes more if I do a lot of cycling.
Yeah,
If I do a big session in the morning, then I'll eat like 3,500. But I was eating 4,500 to 5,000 calories whilst doing absolutely no physical activity, smoking 30 cigarettes a day, drinking vodka Red Bulls at night, playing World of Warcraft. It was that long kind of thing when I was in the UK. So it's been a massive change for me. And not only has it improved my health, it's improved my confidence, it's improved my just overall personality. I don't feel like crap anymore all the time.
that's
And
great.
going from being as heavy as I was to, I mean, I'm not saying I'm skinny now, but at least I'm not on death's door kind of thing. It's been a great experience and a great journey.
That is great. All right. I think we've completed all of our goals for this podcast. I'd like to thank you for coming. It was a lot of fun, and I think we got some great insights for you and all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, thank you for coming.
No worries, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, make sure to follow our guest on Twitch TV/Sombrero. If you enjoyed the show, subscribe and rate the podcast. Visit our brand new site, sprEEEzy.com, where you can find all info about the podcast and the stream. Sign up for the newsletter for more info, and if you'd like to support the growth of the channel, feel free to become a patron. See you in the next one.